Now, drop the knife! Donald! Taser, taser!
Hello, welcome to the channel. It's me, Chris Brooks. I hope everyone's well today. So, another day, another display of law enforcement excellence. This time in a care home. You know, those places where the biggest threats are spilt custard and missing dentures. Well, for the sake of this. Enter the scene. A gentleman in his 90s, Donald Burgess. One leg, no muscle strength, barely coherent, lost in the fog of dementia, confined to a wheelchair. But he had a knife. A butter knife, which, as we all know, is practically a weapon of mass destruction, especially when in the hands of a 93-year-old who can barely lift a teacup. Clearly this was a situation that required immediate, forceful and disproportionate intervention. Now, back in the day, this may have been handled with, now brace yourself, basic compassion and training, or dare I say it, communication. Maybe even by the care home staff themselves. You know, the people trained to deal with elderly patients who are confused and disorientated and a little bit vulnerable without reaching for pepper spray and tasers. No, not today. That's far too civil. Today we call the cavalry. And when they do come, they don't come with calm voices or mental health experts. No, they come with tasers, batons and itchy trigger fingers. Because nothing says public safety like unloading a can of pepper spray into the face of a 93-year-old dementia patient. I will show you the video, but I'll just give you a quick talk through. So the first step was shouting loudly, because when somebody is confused and cognitively impaired, the best way to reach them is to shout commands at them that they don't probably understand. Second, pepper spray, right in the eyes. Because when you're 93 with eyes full of cataracts and practically blind anyway, why not go full apocalypse? Third, a baton to the hand which is barely holding the knife. And finally, the piece de resistance, a taser. Because when a disabled man who is sat down holding a butter knife won't cooperate, the best way to get him to cooperate is by zapping him into compliance. Zero warning, zero hesitation, maximum heroism. And what did this bold operation achieve? Nothing. Mr. Burgess was hospitalised. He caught COVID. And he died. And yeah, sure, let's just call it a routine procedure. But are we seriously going to pretend that this is still about serving and protecting? Because if that's what protection looks like, we should all be terrified. Because what I'm going to show you wasn't policing, it was sanctioned assault. And the fact that nobody in that room said at any point, hey, perhaps you shouldn't mace and taser this old bloke with one leg, well, that should have us up all night. This is what happens when public service turns into paramilitary cosplay, when a badge becomes a license to harm and accountability is just a PR word. And let's be blunt, if a police officer cannot tell the difference between a confused old man and a real genuine threat, then they really shouldn't be in that uniform. Although sadly I would imagine that that is exactly why they're in that uniform. But if they honestly lack the intelligence and the ability to assess vulnerability or handle mental illness without violence, then they are not qualified, they are dangerous. And no, these aren't just a few bad apples, these are spoiled roots in a tree that's growing rotten. And let's not pretend that this is rare. Can you remember the 95-year-old in Australia, Claire Nowland? Again, tasered by police. She had dementia and she subsequently died. This is becoming normal. This is becoming expected. And sadly, it's also becoming accepted. And that is the scariest part. That this is becoming accepted. Wasn't it Orwell who said that corruption will be so rife that it will just become the norm? Well, hello. So this is a message to all you uniformed heroes out there. The next time you come face to face with a 93-year-old disabled person with a butter knife sat down in a wheelchair because he can't walk because he's only got one leg, maybe, just maybe, take a breath, maybe sit with him instead of shouting at him, because once upon a time police were trained to serve, not dominate, to protect and not assault, to de-escalate, not eliminate. And if that's too much to ask, then I have to then question perhaps maybe the danger isn't the one sat in the wheelchair with one leg, maybe the danger is the one stood up wearing a badge. Here's the video, let me know what you think, look after yourselves, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.
Put it down now. Come on.
Last chance.
Right, put it down. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Put it on the floor.
Do it now. Drop the knife.
Donald, drop the knife.
Donald.
Put it down. Put it down. Put it down.